I am part of the North Midlands Computing Hub. I'm the secondary lead for the Computing Hub, but I also work with the North Midlands Science Learning Partnership, which Deb's going to talk to you about the Derbyshire version later. But our Computing Hub area covers across both our own SLP area and Deb's SLP area as well. So a little bit of background about me. I'm a ex-teacher, physics teacher, head of department for 10 years. So what qualifies me for computing, you might wonder? Well, prior to teaching, I was a real-time embedded software engineer for 7 years in the telecoms industry, doing research and development, and developed broadband access solutions. So the stuff that we're using today, I was actually part of the pioneering team that created it. So it's quite exciting stuff, seeing what I was working on nearly 30 years ago being used. So a little bit about the Computing Hub and Teach Computing and the NCCE. We are DFE funded, and it's run by a consortium, STEM Learning, the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and the BCS, the British Computer Society. And we are here to provide high quality support for teaching of computing in schools. The reason for this is that computing is the first compulsory subject to be introduced into the national curriculum since the 1988 Education Reform Act. No other compulsory subject up to Key Stage 4 has been introduced, so it's trying to squeeze yet another subject into an already tight timetable, but this is something that you must be providing for your students. Teach Computing is the teacher-facing brand and covers Key Stage 1 through to 4. And the country is split into hub areas. Our hub area, as you can see in the map, covers from Telford in the south all the way up through to Glossop in the north, and spreading east and west as well, over quite a large geographic area. We are fairly active on Twitter, so if you want to give us a follow on @ComputingHub SOT, it's SOT because we are based in Stoke-on-Trent at the Sixth Form College there. We also support with Isaac Computer Science, which is the teacher-facing brand of the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And Isaac Computer Science provides a free platform for classwork, homework and revision for Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5. So it reaches up into the A-level side of things as well. So we support a whole offer right the way through from Key Stage 1 through to Key Stage 5. And everything that we offer is across all of those key stages. We have a huge amount of support available, so I'm going to aim to cover it very quickly. Start off with, there is a complete free scheme of work that includes everything that you need, from PowerPoints, resources, assessments, worksheets, the whole lot, and that is downloadable from the Teach Computing website. There are also computing at school communities, which are run out of the BCS, and we support those where it's ongoing peer-to-peer support. So that's for computing teachers and heads of departments. It's a computing network that's there to aid and support your teachers. If you are in a primary school, you are entitled up to half a day's consultancy support. There is also the Primary Teach Computing Certificate, which is a flexible PD program that is designed to give you and your staff the subject knowledge and confidence to deliver computing. And each primary school is entitled to one £220 bursary per school year, per school per academic year. Okay, so if your school has not accessed your bursaries yet, you need to do so. If you're in secondary, there is a lot more available to you, because obviously there's a larger gap in subject knowledge for teachers at secondary than there is at primary in terms of computing. So at secondary, we run the subject knowledge certificate through the Computer Science Accelerator program. And again, it's a flexible PD program. That is then followed up by the secondary certificate, which is a further certificate to earn a recognised qualification from the BCS. There are generous bursaries available for secondary teachers. There is a bursary of up to £1,800 per teacher for passing the CSA. Now, you can send every single teacher in your school to do the CSA if you want to. It's not limited to just computing teachers. So there is one school in Derbyshire that I worked with that put 18 teachers through the CSA. Each teacher earned £1,800, so you can do the maths and you can see that they got a nice tidy little sum at the end of it. And that money is for you to use in your school to support computing, and that can be as putting in new hardware, new software, new infrastructure, Wi-Fi networks, paying for trips, supporting pupil premium students, all sorts of things. You're also entitled to up to 2.5 days consultancy support, and there are also further bursaries depending upon your situation.
Neil, can I ask a very silly question?
You can.
Do you also, I'm very good at silly questions, by the way. Do you also do any support work for maths that might be working over a group of schools, or would it be a school by school basis?
No, we can work at trust level, and I'm working with a number of trusts round and about where we agree a programme at trust level that's then delivered across the schools. The trust then holds the funding for all of those schools, and you get cost benefits at that level, working at a trust level that way.
Lovely, thank you.
You then get access to a subject matter expert, and they are a fully funded consultant, and we call them SME for short, just because we like acronyms. And they're there to support and develop and enhance your computing offer, and they also enable you to access further funding. Your subject matter expert is there to give you that support that you need. It might be that you want someone to come in and review your curriculum, or you want them to work with your computing lead at primary school to look at the strengths and weaknesses that you've got, or how you can incorporate physical computing into the curriculum that you've already got. And at secondary, if you are a non-GCSE computer science school, you are entitled to 2.5 days consultancy, £1,400, and an extra bursary when you put computing on the menu. If you're at risk, you get 1 day and £1,400. If you've started GCSE CS in the last 2 years, you get a day but no bursary. And everybody who is in a local authority district 5 or 6 gets half a day no matter what. The only catch is the bursaries are only guaranteed until the end of this term, so you need to act quickly. We're not sure what the landscape is going to look like next term in terms of the funding. We will still be here supporting you, but there may not be such generous monies available.
Am I right, Neil, that they need to engage and conduct the work in itself within the window before the summer term ends? So it's not just a matter of saying, oh, we'll get in touch and we can do the work in September. They have to put it in the book. It
has to be completed by the end of the 31st of July. We also support you with something that's relatively new called the Computing Quality Framework. The Computing Quality Framework is aimed to help you review where you are at and where you want to get to in terms of your computing curriculum. If you are running it as a MAT, you can track and monitor the progress of all of your schools, and that can help you drive the change across all of the schools in your MAT, and you can compare them to each other. It is free to use. It identifies your strengths and weaknesses, and it also gives you recommendations on what to do to improve those areas that you need to improve. It will also produce a range of reports that are really good for sharing with Ofsted and with governors, and it can compare and benchmark you with other schools nationally as well. As a computing hub, we can support you with the completion of this and planning and implementation of recommendations. And it is very, very good. It's all being produced by the BCS, and it can ultimately lead to the NCCE Computing Quality Mark, which is like the science mark or the arts mark. So what do we need to do? Well, there's a little form that I'd like you to fill in, if possible. We can pop that link into the chat for everyone. It is purely just a case of me reaching out to try and get contact with everyone so that I can help and support you. Once I have those details, I can then put you in touch, or your computing lead in touch, with the relevant subject matter expert. If you as senior leaders decide who is going to take on the CQF, the Computing Quality Framework, and connect them to me, I can then support them with that journey. We can spend time going through it and helping them out. And finally, you can check out our new website at northmidscomputinghub.org.uk, which has all of our current courses and support available and contact details. So I think I've just about managed that in time.
That was incredibly useful. Thank you so much. I'm going to just talk a little second, so people, if they do want to note down Neil's email to get in touch, you can very quickly do that now. So there's just a wealth of range of CPD funded, including lots of bursaries to really support implementations, certificate for staff, so incredibly useful, through to the quality framework, and even for those aspiring schools who've really got this down, that they can aspire to that computing mark as well. So there's a real breadth from schools who maybe are on a start point of their journey of getting it right, and really evaluating and reflecting, to those who are maybe really excelling and want to push to the next level. So super useful. Thank you, Neil. And I can see you've put the form in the chat as well for schools who want to just get hooked in straight off. That's brilliant. So hopefully I've whittled away long enough so that if colleagues have got any questions, please take a moment now to pop them in the chat. And if not, please just get in touch with Neil direct and to take this forward. Yeah, thank you so much, Neil, for sharing and coming to our area to signpost the work that the Computing Hub does.
That's okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Amazing. I think there's nobody in the chat that's shared anything there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to now press pause on the recording. So for our colleagues who are watching it afterwards on the YouTube, this is the end of your recording.